Hey y'all, it's your girl, the Authentic Empress. So I'm really feeling to speak on this. I want you to know, whoever is going to watch this, it's okay to cry. It's okay to cry. Understand that crying, right, being the element of water, it detoxes your soul. It hydrates you, right? It's okay to have, had made mistakes. But don't ruminate on the mistakes that you made. Understand that while you're still alive and you could breathe, and if you're in your right mind, you have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to make a better decision, to make a better choice. Now, granted, regardless of what, regardless though, you have to be held accountable for whatever intentions or whatever decisions, that was made. Wow, that's crazy. Depending on whatever end of it you're on, right? In a sense, even if you were innocent in the situation, accountability, to be able to recognize, okay, I can recognize where there were some vulnerabilities, vulnerabilities is not a good word, but where there was some things about myself that I could have, edified, that I could have sharpened, that I could have amplified, that I could have, improved upon. Always look at it, from both sides, and definitely look at it from, the brighter side as well. I'm going to remind you of the story of Job. If you never heard of the story of Job, you can look it up. You can Google it online, the book of Job. And take some time to read through that story. A lot of times, that story is not understood until after you go through, so much. But many of you who are, pure in heart may have already heard of this story just because it was like a precursor, you being foretold of what was to come, not saying that your experience was going to be entirely the same, because Job went through it. But for many of us, we have experienced some of those aspects in some shape or form. And even with women, even though he experienced all of those things, materially and physically or whatever, for women, sexual trauma and abuse. Now, men go through sexual trauma and abuse as well, definitely. I've known men who've been molested and raped by female family members, by male family members, female or male strangers, people outside of them, adults, babysitters. Like, this is, like when they were kids. And of course, not truly understanding altogether, and somebody stimulating you and you experiencing, things that you don't typically encounter. It can be very confusing. However, I've heard a range of stories of people dealing with, of people who've experienced a range of traumas. Like, I remember there was a friend of mine, and her brother was having sex with her. Her stepbrother was having sex with her, and she never told because of how, how stern, strict and combative her father was, and she didn't want, it can be very confusing. And because, of that pure heartedness and you protecting an abuser, out of that pure heartedness, you can, there can be some energy that resurfaces later on in life where you feel the energy of guilt. Like, if I would have spoken up for myself, maybe this or maybe that, or maybe I wouldn't be in the situation that I'm in now. But understand, like, you have to recognize the version of yourself you was at that moment. Even, with you reflecting on it, later in life, that's still a totally different version of yourself. Totally different version of yourself. Much more edified, much more grown, much more matured version of yourself. A mind that has experienced a range of things. A mind that has expressed in different ways. Whether, whether negatively or positively, or whatever that looks like. Whatever way that you cope. Whatever way that you found to express your voice. With what you were able to do, right? It's easy to fall into that energy of just completely being, a victim, and, getting caught up in escapism, many forms of escapism as a means to deflect from what you're really feeling inside, right? And looking for, that love somewhere, or that attention that you didn't get when you needed it the most. This is why it's so critical to truly develop a strong relationship with the Most High, with nature, with things that, can connect with you on a deeper level. And you will meet people. You will have the opportunity to meet people who can connect with you and resonate with you. However, you're still an individual. You're still a very unique person, and that's something you always have to keep in mind. You have to always take that into consideration. Not everybody is going to be able to resonate. Like, you can find this in different people, but there's going to be some significant things, about your story, that's very unique to your story, that you will have to find peace, and you can only gain that resonance through nature and through the Most High. That resonance with yourself, and being able, to know that that's okay. That's enough. That's enough resonance. Having that resonance with self, it's enough, right? I remember I made a post one time and I said, because there are people like me that exist, that makes me happy. Like, I'll never want to kill myself or end my life because of, there being people like me. And because there are people like me, because I exist and I exist for myself, I know that there is someone out there, that reciprocates the energy and the kind of love and the loyalty, the integrity and the truth that I bring, that I offer, that I give. I know that. There's no way this energy that I have and this connection that I have with the Most High, that I won't find that in nobody. There's no way. There's no way. I used to always feel, there's going to be, a lot of stories with pure-hearted, people, who get swayed. Many are called, few are chosen. We all have struggles and battles, and we go through very similar things as it pertains to emotional and psychic attacks, and all of those things, that really can afflict a person and shift their perception of themselves as well as their focus, right? Their focus of their path and, what they exist for. And unfortunately, not everybody is going to achieve fully picking themselves up in this lifetime, this particular lifetime. However, for those who are still, who still retain enough strength and faith and trust, in the bigger picture, right? It's worth it because it makes you, all of your experiences have made you very wise. They've made you vigilant, they made you a strategist. They've made you resilient. But you have to allow these experiences to be so, right? Where does any person get knowledge from? Where does any person gain wisdom from? You have to keep those things in mind. However, the more that you allow people outside of you to manipulate and sway you into being against yourself, the more problematic, and difficult it will be for you to love yourself authentically. So during these times where you go through these things and you're given these situations to be alone, you have to understand that you're alone physically, yes, but you're not alone. You have yourself. You have, angels and the Most High and, these divine spiritual beings, that roam, they're there, but it's like they're respectful. They're respectful because they're divine, so they're not just going to invade you. They may leave little signs and things, out, respectfully. But, you can, when you decide to give them permission and reach out to them, behold, I stand at the door and knock. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. I'm not going to, annoy you and keep, it's going to be a gentle, knock, Maybe knock again. Wait a while, see if you're going to respond, if you're going to answer. If not, okay, well, maybe now is not a good time. I'll come back another time. That's how, divine spirits operate. That's how the Most High operate. It'll send you, little beautiful things and gestures, right, and gifts. Sporadically, randomly, to reassure you, that everything's going to work out. Everything's working according to your good, right? It's very critical to remind ourselves of very key elements that we are spiritual, having a natural experience. Don't get so caught up. Don't get so caught up in one aspect, right? Don't get so caught up in these people outside of you. Don't get so caught up there. Because you have to be able to weigh souls. You have to be able to weigh spirit, weigh energy. And first and foremost, know your own soul, right? Know your own soul. I'm not like, how you get in the energy and, you start ruminating and going back and forth with yourself about what somebody did to you, what somebody said to you, whatever lie that somebody, composed of you, you know what you did in the situation. You know what your intentions was. You know all of these things. You know this. So instead of trying to, prove that to other people, it is you yourself that you're needing to prove it to, right? To remind yourself, I know that I didn't intend, to do this to that person. I know I was very good to this person. I was very kind and considerate and patient. Even when this person, drove me nuts, I was patient. I actually tried. I did try. I honestly tried. You know these things. There's nobody to prove it to. Those people who, go out of their way to prove that, half of the time they full of shit. Half of the time they are the initiators. Half of the time. Once upon a time, though, I'm not going to say everybody, but half of the time, yes. But we live moments where we spoke up for ourselves, rightfully so, and we were silenced. Different strategies were used to silence us. But notice this big fact here. It was from people outside of you trying to silence you. It was never you silencing you. It was never the Most High silencing you. It was never the universe and nature silencing you. It was people outside of you. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against rulers of the darkness, spiritual wickedness in high places. See beneath the surface what you truly was up against, what you truly was, battling against. And just how strong you really are, for you to have encountered those experiences and, in such fluctuation that you did. And such, intensity that you did. Allow that to be a reflection, right? Of, dang, I really must be something wonderful. Don't get caught up on the outside, the appearances. 1717 on the timer just now. Don't get caught up on the appearances, on what things look like right now just because you're scarred or, you might be a little battered and bruised. But what does your soul look like? Your soul stamina is probably, off the charts, right? I'm going to look up 1717. I don't know who this is for, but this is something that we all, a conversation that we all, needed to hear or have, with ourselves or with someone who gets it. Someone, an angel, using someone to speak or give you a message, and they use that person, so that you will be more accepting and and they don't startle you or scare you, right? So let's see here. But yes, just like I was saying about Job, Job's body was afflicted. He lost his family, his entire family. He lost his friends. His friends, was pitying him and, gossiping and just speaking, these things to him that weren't exactly helpful. They were speaking to him as if, he deserved what he was going through. Like, they felt like he deserved it according to their own arterial motives and insecurities. Because he was a very wealthy man. He was very wealthy, very faithful to the Most High. And, the devil's whole concept was that if Job did not have all of that wealth, if you didn't bless, Job with such abundance and, great inheritance, Job wouldn't be loyal to the Most High. Job wouldn't be loyal to you. Job wouldn't have the same faith with you. Right? Job said, naked I came into this world, naked I shall leave. Because it's beyond material things. It's beyond these things outside of us. Once again, naked. That doesn't just refer to your actual body. No, we're talking about your soul. Your soul. Naked you came into this world, naked you shall leave. Your soul. When this body changes, when it ages, when it dies, your soul is still going to be alive. Right? So think more about the condition of your soul. Angel number 1717 symbolizes the awareness of your life values, manifestation of your heart's desires. And it says that you have reached a stage of life when the manifestation of your desires becomes your natural ability. This number sequence is a sign that your commitment to manifestation work is paying off. 2102 just now. 212. Let's look a little deeper into 17 and then we'll check out 212. Oh, wow, you guys. It's 11:33 right now where I'm at Eastern time. So we're going to look at 11:33 as well. I'm not going to, do the most, but why not? Because I feel like this is like an intimate moment that's needed for somebody. And it's cool because look at the little kittens. As soon as I, a little while after I started talking about this, little kittens, the cats, they came in. Cats are very symbolic. With the high priestess, there's always a kitten, right? Kittens are very ancient. Very, very ancient. Very, very divine, mystical beings. And we'll even look up that symbol, of the cat. So once again, about that awareness of your life values, right? Being aware of the values that you cultivate, that you've cultivated as a result of these experiences that you went through. It made you very versatile. It extended and created a depthness within you, right? The depthness of your soul's knowledge and what you're able to share and pass down, generationally. Symbolizes the awareness of your life values, manifestations of your heart's desires. And it says that you have reached the stage of life when the worst is over. The worst is over. This number sequence is a sign that your commitment to is working. Yeah, your commitment to that manifestation energy, right? That fertile energy, that ability to continue, create, and your emotional capacity, right? Your intuition, You expect the best, so the best happens. The angels applaud your efforts. For some reason, the whole thing is not showing up. Well, I really wanted to read this one because, okay, for some reason, it's not allowing me to see the entire. So let's go to another link here really quick. The divine realm wants you to know that you've been offered a second chance. 24:22 on the timer.